welcome. Today I am going to play Kalisz 7006, a game about 4 battles of the Great Northern War, a war which was fought in the first 20 years of the 18th century and was a conflict between Sweden fighting against Denmark, Saxony and Russia. The spiritus movements of this of the anti-Swedish League was Saxony Duke and the King of Poland as well, August II. He and his allies decided that after the death of the Swedish king Karol XI, it will be easy to beat Sweden because the new Swedish king Kalisz XII was just 15 years old. But to their bad luck, Kalisz XII was a brilliant tactician. In the quick and devastating campaign, his army kicked off Denmark of war and then landed in Influence. Influence are the territory occupied today by the Baltic states. Swedish army beat Saxony and Russia again and then turned to Poland. Why Poland? Since Poland wasn't even a part of this conflict. Well, it was because August was also a king of Poland. So Kalisz decided that it would be the best to go to the Poland and kicked August off the Polish throne. And then he made his first mistake because he spent almost a year on the fruitless negotiations with Polish nobles, trying to make them support him. Well, he achieved almost nothing, so his army entered Poland. In the big battle near Kalisz, Polish and Saxon armies were beaten. It is commonly known as the last battle of Polish winged hussars, even if it's not actually a full truth. Then Kalisz moved towards capital of Poland, Warsaw. His goal was to make August resign from the Polish throne, and if he doesn't want to, then make Polish nobles kicked him off this throne. He achieved his goal. Polish nobles agreed with him and made a new Polish king, Stanisław Leszczyński, who was actually just a puppet of the Sweden. August, with his army, including Saxony's units, some of the Polish units that still supported him, and Russian Russian units, moved west towards Saxony. But Kalisz made another mistake. He should pursue it, August, but then he decided to capture all the important cities of Poland. So his army left Warsaw. In this moment, Saxon's army moved toward Warsaw to recapture the capital of Poland. But Kalisz was a brilliant tactician, just like I said before, so he quickly gathered his cavalry and moved back towards Warsaw. Saxony's army and its allies retreat, but Kalisz pursued them quickly, and his units, consisting cavalry only, met with a part of Saxony army near the town of Poniec. And that's where the first battle of this game takes place. This is a board for the Battle of Poniec, and what we have here? We have a number of Swedish cavalry led by Kalisz XII himself. There are only some of them on the board, some of them are entering the game later as reinforcements, and we have Saxon's army containing infantry, artillery and some cavalry wings. There is also some Polish infantry and even a single Russian unit, but most of the Russian units weren't able to reach with Saxony's corps and had to fought Swedes in the another battle fought 2 days later at Televice, which is another game from this game like you can see on the board, on the box. At the beginning of this battle, most of the Saxon cavalry simply escaped from the battlefield just when they saw Swedish cavalry. So the Saxon infantry had to fight off all of its own, but surprisingly, it fought very well. Carolus tried to attack them about 5 times, and the 5 times he was repelled by the artillery and infantry fire. So finally, Saxon's infantry was able to leave the battlefield without being defeated. So that's how it went, and now we can see if it's going to happen again. Scenario is pretty short, it takes 6 turns only. As for victory conditions, each side gains 1 victory point for 1 enemy unit eliminated, and 6 victory points for each leader eliminated. And now let's talk about game's mechanics. This game is using Husarian system, which was dedicated for the 17th century battles and early 17. What we have on the counters? We have basically 2 factors down below, which is unit's strength and unit's movement points. So this unit has strength of 2 and movement of 7. Most of the units in this game has a strength of 2. There are only a few that have strength of 3, but most of them have full strength, which is 2, and it can be lived down to 1. One unit is made to be flipped because of the combat losses. It is flipped to the side with 1, and when it is made to suffer a loss again, it is eliminated. Also, we have a morale factor here on the right, which is pretty important when we have to make some checks. Finally, some of our units has a star. If unit has a star, this means that it is allowed to perform a rifle combat. Finally, we have artillery units. Artillery units are mostly the same, but they have here a letter that tells us if it is light or heavy artillery. This is light artillery because of the L. Finally, we have commanders. Commanders have only 1 factor, which is here, and this is combat modifier. Most of the commanders have a combat modifier of 0, some of them have 1, and only very few of them, I don't think there is any in this game, that have combat modifier of 2. Okay, that's all when it comes to the units. I believe we have of course infantry, cavalry, artillery. In this battle there are also dragoons in some other battles, pikemen, and so on. But as for this battle, we have only these 3 kind of units. There are no winged hussars because we have mostly Saxons cavalry. There are 2 Polish cavalry units, but they are containing normal horsemen. Game takes place in the turns, and each turn is divided into phase. This is typical I go, you go game. Something that can be pretty important is the morale track here. Every time a unit is eliminated, then the morale counter is moved toward other side, and when it reaches 1 or 2 or 3, then this side gains a modifier for combat since the next turn. Yes, this is pretty important to remember, that you cannot eliminate enough units to get, for example, +1, and then right in the next battle you get this modifier. No, you have to wait till the next turn. Okay, I think that's mostly everything I should tell you now, and finally we can start a game, but first we have to make a very important check. Like I said before, Saxons cavalry escaped from the battle right at the beginning of the game, and we have to check if it is going to happen in this battle. We can use 2 variants. First of them, which is historical variant, says that they are just leaving the board, they have to move towards the board edge and leave it as soon as possible. But you can use an alternative variant that allows you to check if they are going to leave. You have to roll 1d6, and if you get 5 or 6, they are staying and participating in the battle. If you will roll 1 to 4, they have to escape. So let's see what's about to happen in our battle. Judging on my own experience, when they stay in the battle, a battle can be much more interesting because it is more balanced. But when they are escaping, then Swedish have much bigger chance to win this battle quickly. Let's make a roll then. Oh, it is 6. So good. It was wise to use white die. So we're going to use all these units in our battle. Great. Okay. So Sweden has an initiative in this battle, so Swedish units are moving first. A first phase is artillery Fireface. Swedish units have no artillery in this game, so they cannot use it. So we just have to move them. Alright. So this unit has a 7 movement points. Most of the cavalry units has a 7 movement points. Only those who are lighter and faster have 8 points. But as for now, we don't have any. So let's move. This is a stream, and you have to spend 1 additional movement point to move through the stream. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, that's all. Next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have to spend one movement point to change cavalry's facing. Each unit has 3 front hexes and 3 back hexes. So when unit is attacked from one of the back hexes, then its strength is always lowered to 1. So it's pretty important to keep your units facing towards the enemy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's for these guys. Now for them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we are now on the road. When you are on the road, you can spend a half of the movement point if you are moving down the road. But 7, I am not going to move any further, because if I would move here, then this Polish cavalry might countercharge me, and I don't want this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because this is a slope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And now them. 1, 2. When you are moving down the road, you don't have to spend movement points for changing your facing. 2, 3. Sorry, no. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and now we have a big stack of Swedish units here, and they are going to enter the game, which is interesting. We have a Drabant here. Drabants were Karl XII elite guard unit. You can see they have a yellow star instead of black, and this means that they can fire twice during their rifle combat. So let's move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and all the other units are moving right here, because you cannot stack your units that are in the full strength. You can only stack your units that are weakened. So basically you cannot have more than 2 points of cavalry on one hex, or 2 points of infantry on one hex, but the only unit that can stack with a full strength is artillery. You can stack 1 artillery unit of full strength with 1 infantry unit of full strength. If your units are weakened, they can stack together. For example, you can have 2 units with the strength of 1 on the one hex, but only of the same type. So you cannot stack cavalry with infantry. Okay, I think that's all when it comes to the Swedish movement. We have no combat. Yeah, we have no combat because there are no Swedish units on the hexes adjacent to the enemy. And now we can move to the Saxons phases. First we have artillery Fireface. We have 2 artillery units. They are light artillery, so they have 3 hexes range. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. No enemy units in their range. 1, 2. Because artillery range is something like that. These 3 hexes, these 2 hexes, and these 2 hexes. For them it would be these 3 hexes, these 2 hexes, and these 2 hexes. So we have no enemy units in range, so we cannot fire. So next we have a Saxony's movement phase. And what I am going to do. First, I would like to move this Polish infantry. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. My goal would be to size this village, so they will be able to defend more effectively in this village. Next, I think I am going to use this Polish cavalry. 1, 2, and now Swedish cavalry decides to counter-charge. When you want to counter-charge, you have to be in the 1 hex range from the enemy. You can also make a change of your facing, but only just the one. So for example, they were like here, so they can change their facing like that and move 1 hex. They wouldn't be able to change their facing twice. So 1, 2. That's not allowed. You can only change your facing by 1 and charge on the enemy. And when it's counter-charge, we have to resolve it instantly. We don't have to wait till the combat phase, but we have just resolve counter-charge right when it happens. So, let's go to our first combat. Let me check for... Okay, we will also need our this die, and let's check. First, each side has a two points, so that it is 1 to 1. Next we have to check their morale. They have 9 and they have 9. So no differences between morale, so no additional modifiers. So it is simple 1 to 1. Let's make a roll. 8. 8 in the 1 to 1, it is -1 on the left. Let me check you, show you this. Here it is. It is 8 in the 1 to 1, it is -1 on the left. And result, if there are such results, then the result on the left is for the attacker and the result for the right is for the defender. So this means that attacker suffers one step loss. So they have to be flipped on the one side, on the other side. Okay, that wasn't good. Now, I am moving with this Polish cavalry unit. And now they also declare to countercharge. We have again the same situation, because these are the same units. Both have 9 and both have 2. and 10. Oh, Swedes are not lucky. This is A1 minus 1. This means that attacker has to retreat 1 hex and suffer 1 point loss. No good for Swedes. Now, this Saxon's cavalry, 1, 2, 3, because they are moving up the slope, 4, and 5. And they cannot countercharge, because this unit is already in the front hex of the other unit. If they wouldn't be here, then if they would be here, for example, then these guys would be able to countercharge on them, but now they cannot. So now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now they are countercharging them. And see, each of them has a star. This means that we have to perform a rifle combat first. We have to check for a rifle combat table. There are 2 rifle combat tables. One for cavalry and one for infantry. So we are using cavalry because we have 2 cavalry units fighting, and each of them is allowed to fire 1 at the enemy. So let's start with Saxons. They have a strength of 2, 6, this is a miss, and now Swedish, 6, again, this is a miss. So let's resolve a combat. We have 2 against 2, 8 against 8, so no modifiers, clear 1 to 1. Oh, I would say that Swedes have a very bad luck with these counter charges. It is minus 1. So Swedish unit suffers 1 step loss. Okay, so that's all when it comes to this wing. I am not going to do much here, or maybe I do. 1, 2, 3, 4, because I am changing my facing into the woods. 4, 5, 7. Alright, so that's all. And I'm not going to do any more for Saxons, so we are moving into the combat phase. So let's resolve a combat. We are starting here. We have 4 strength, 4 points of strength against 1. So it's 3 to 1. And Poles are attacking up the slope, so they have minus 1. So it is 4 to 1 and 3 to 1 because attacking up the slope. Morale is the same for each side. 8 in the 3 to 1, it is minus 1 and B1. So one attacking unit suffers 1 step loss and the defender has to retreat 1 hex. This unit might perform a pursuit. When you are performing a pursuit, you can change your facing at the last hex of your pursuit. Next, this Saxon unit attacks this Swedish unit because all the enemy units in your front hexes have to be attacked. You can choose who's going to attack who, but all the enemy units have to be attacked. So next we have a combat here. Notice that this Saxon is, or rather Brandenburg, because this is Brandenburg's cavalry. In the Saxon is under Saxon's command has a star, so they can fire at the enemy. Let them try. Oh, and I think they scored hit. 9 in the strength in the column. In the verse of 2, it is minus 1. So Swedish unit is eliminated. And now, because of that, we have to move morale counter 1 on the right. So now Saxon's unit might move here. Next, here. Each unit might fire against each other, but Saxon's unit has a strength of 2, while Swedish has a strength of 1. So for Saxons, miss. For Swedish, a miss. So we have 2 to 1 because we have 2 against 1. No morale changing. So let's make a roll. 9. Oh, it's not going to be good, I believe. 9 is now minus 1, minus 1. So each side suffers 1 step loss. So Saxon's unit is weakened while Swedish unit is eliminated. And we have to move this counter here. Okay, it's not starting very good for Swedes. It's pretty surprising actually. And that's all for Saxons combat phase. We are moving into turn 2. They are going to get more reinforcements coming. Maybe it will help them a bit. So far they lost 2 units. No good. So, in the turn 2, again, a Swedish player is first, so we are going to move our Swedish units. What I'm going to do, I think I will start here. I am moving this unit here, and now this Saxons cavalry is countercharging. So let's resolve this countercharge. First we have to resolve a rifle combat for Saxons, 8 miss, for Swedes 5 a miss. So it's 1 to 2 because we are fighting with a unit with strength of 1 against unit with strength of 2, and 8 in the 1 to 2. No, sadly it is -1, A1 -1, so attacker has to retreat 1 hex and suffer 1 step loss, so this Saxons unit is eliminated. So this unit cannot move anymore because it was countercharged, and when unit is countercharged it cannot move anymore. It can only take a hex which was occupied by attacking unit, but it cannot move anymore. So I am going to stay where I am and now take care of them. I will move this unit here, so they will fight together against these Poles, and I will need some help. 1, 2, 3, sorry, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7. I will gather all my strength before attack. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this commander moves here, so he will be able to support this combat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's for them. They are moving like this, but they are not going to attack for now. And now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They are just moving like this. And I think that's all when it comes to this Swedish movement. Let's resolve Swedish combat. I will start here with these 2 units attacking this Polish unit. So I think I'm not even going to use them because they won't give me much. So I'm attacking 2 against 2. It's 1 to 1. They are fighting on the same high, so no modifier for high difference. We have same morale, so no modifiers for morale. So it is simply 1 to 1. Oh hell! 11. This is A1 error. What it means? Attacker has to retreat 1 hex, and it is dispersed. We have to remove this unit from the board and place it on the scattered units track. In each movement phase, at the beginning of each movement phase, a player can remove a half of the units that are here, rounding up, and place them nearby one of his commanders. But as for now, this unit cannot be used in this battle, and this Polish unit takes this hex. Next, I have these two units attacking this Saxony's cavalry, and first these Drabants are going to fire at them. They have this yellow star, so they can fire twice. So let's fire with them. For the first time it is 10. Oh, good. It is -1, so enemy suffers 1 point loss. And their second shot is 19. 19, it is air. During the rifle combat, air means that unit has to suffer 1 step loss and be placed on the dispersed units track, and because they are losing 1 step, then they are eliminated. But before we will remove them, they can still fire by their own. So we have to make they have 2 and 4, so they missed, so they are eliminated, and morale counter goes here. And that's all for the Swedish combat. Yes, that's all for the Swedish combat. Let's go to the Saxons. I will start with this Polish infantry. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because infantry pays 1 movement point for any kind of change of facing. And as for the other units, oh, here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. They declare to move, and since they are declared their movement, then this unit could countercharge them, but it cannot. Why? Because it is in the front zone of enemy unit, and when unit is in the front zone of other enemy unit, then it cannot countercharge. So this Polish cavalry moves here, and I think no, that's not all. This Polish infantry, 1, 2, 3. This unit moves here, and they will remain as reserve. So that's all for when it comes to the Saxony's movement, and we have some combat to resolve here. First, here we have 1, 2 against 2, 9 against 9, so nothing to change, just a simple 1-to-1, and 7. 7 in the 1-to-1, it is -1, -1. So each side suffers 1 step loss. And now here we have the same situation. So, but Poles are attacking up the slope, so they have -1. So it's not a 1-to-1, but 1-to-2. And 7 in the 1-to-2 is A1. So attacker has to retreat 1 hex, and they can pursue it. Okay, that's all for the Saxons combat. We can go into the turn 3. And at the beginning of the movement phase, Swedish player might remove half of the units on this track and put them back into game. You can place them anywhere on the hex adjacent to one of your commanders, but not on the hex which would be adjacent to the enemy unit. So, for example, I can place them here. That's what I wanted. And we can start Swedish movement phase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, I can move like this because I have to stop when I'm entering enemy front hexes. But when I'm moving through their back hexes, then I can just move freely as I like. Now they are moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. And I think this should be enough, or maybe I will move them here to be sure. And now 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to clear this wing and then to perform one massive charge against the enemy. So let's start with a combat. Here we have 3 against, we have 5. We have 5 against 1, so it's 5 to 1, and it's 6 to 1 because of the commander. So it's 6 to 1 and 6. 6 in the 6 to 1, it is B2. So defender has to retreat 2 hexes, and they cannot, because you can only retreat through your back hexes, and this hex is occupied by enemy, this hex too, and this hex is in the front zone of the enemy unit, and you cannot escape through such hexes. So this unit has to suffer 2 steps loss, and because of that it is eliminated. So morale counter moves here. Oh, sorry. Wrong unit. Oh no, good unit. Good, good. Next battle we have here, and we have 5 to 1 without any modifiers. So it is just 5 to 1 and 2. 5 to 1 is B1, sorry, A1, B4, R. This means that this attacker suffers 1 step loss, and the defender has to retreat 4 hexes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and is placed on the scatter track, while attacker might pursue it. So they move here, here, and here. They move here, because they are now both 2 with 1 strength point, then they might stack together, and they move here, and they will change facing like that. And that's all for the Swedish combat. Yes, that's all. So let's go to Saxons. Saxon lost all of their cavalry of this wing, so they are not in a very good situation. Well, it's still better than this the situation when this cavalry would just escape from the battlefield. So, what are we going to do? I think I will just try to defend this part of the battlefield with 1, 2. This unit will remain in reserve. This unit moves here, 1, 2, 3. And that's all again. I don't have much to do with my Saxons, so we are moving into turn 4. So we are in the half of the battle, and Swedes are about to attack. I think the next combat phase is going to be quite massive, I believe. Okay, let's go on with the turn 4, and we are starting with Swedish movement, because we have no Swedish artillery. So let's go and start with this wing. And I would like to get rid of this Polish infantry defending in this Janiszewo village. So, 1, 2, 3. Infantry cannot countercharge, as you may guess. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. So that's all for them. And now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now 1, 2, 3, and now they are in the 3 hexes range from the artillery, so artillery is allowed to fire on them. In this game, artillery has a bit changed, has its fire rules bit changed than the other Husaria units, because in this game artillery is allowed to fire in each of its range. So, for example, this artillery has 3 hexes range, so it is allowed to fire here, here, and here. So, first fire is here. We are firing on the 3 hexes range with light artillery of with the strength of 2. So we are using artillery, a table for the 2 points strength of the light artillery, and 7, it is a miss. So we have to mark our artillery with the 3. This means they already fire it at the range of 3. They are moving here, and now artillery is allowed to fire again in the range of 2, and I think it scored a hit. 2, 11, this is air. So this unit has to suffer 1 step loss and is dispersed. And we have to place a counter with the strength of 2. Sorry, with the fire number of 2 on this artillery unit. So it is allowed only to fire in the range of 1 now. 1, 2, and now this artillery fires for its last time, and it misses. Maybe because it was light cavalry or something. Okay, as for now, this unit. 1, 2, 3, and now it is in the range of this artillery because it has 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3. It now fires in its 3 points range, a miss. It moves here, and artillery fires in the 2 point. Miss. Oh, a miss again. Okay, now this unit 1, 2, 3, 4. Artillery fires for the last time. 7. In the range of 1, it is a hit. So they suffer 1 point loss. No good. Okay, now next to them. 1, 2, and now this Saxons cavalry countercharges them. So let's perform combat. First a rifle combat. 7, a miss for Saxons. 10, a hit for Swedish. They suffer 1 step loss. So we have 2 to 1 for... sorry, no, they are counter-charging, so we have 1 to 2, because Saxons are attacking. Oh, no good. 9 in the 1 to 2, A1 error. So they have to retreat 1 hex, and they are placed on on this track. But they have to stop. They cannot move any further, save to the taking a hex vacant previously occupied by the enemy. Okay, so that's good. Now they are moving here, and they are counter-charging. So Saxons rifle combat, a miss. Swedish rifle combat, a miss. So it is 1 to 1. Oh, A1. So attacker has to retreat 1 hex, and they can pursue it. No good. Okay, now 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 5. Okay, so that's all for the Swedish movement. You can see that we have a massive charge on the enemy. I think I might move this unit here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 move here, and I think that's all when it comes to the movement. Let's resolve a combat. Okay, let's start with these battles, and I will start here. First, we have only an infantry unit that can fire, because none of this cavalry unit has a fire ability. So let's fire with infantry, and infantry has a bit better rifle combat allowance. So they are going to target this unit, and they are firing with 2. 5 in the infantry rifle combat table, it is nothing. So now cavalry is attacking, and when cavalry attacks infantry, it has its strength doubled. So we have 4 and 4, so it's 8. 8 against 2, it's 4 to 1. 5 to 1 because of the morale difference, they have 9 and they have 8. And 4 to 1 because they are defending in the village, and village provides -1 modifier. So it's 4 to 1 and 6. 6 in the 4 to 1 is B2 -1. So defender has to retreat 1-2 hexes, suffers 1 point loss, and we have to check if it wasn't scattered because of the retreat. It is infantry with the morale of 8, so we have to check a disperse after combat table, and we have to roll 1. If I will roll 1, then they are dispersed. No, they are not. So cavalry might pursue it if it wants to. Okay, and now this battle. Again, this infantry fires at this Swedish. 8. 8 with the strength of 2, it is a hit. So one Saxon Swedish unit is eliminated, and now we have to resolve a combat. We have 2, so it's 4, and 2 and 1, so it's 2. So we have 6 against 2, it's 3 to 1, 4 to 1 because of the morale difference, 5 to 1 because of the commander, and 4 to 1 because of the village. So it's 4 to 1. Oh, it's 10. It is -1 B1. So defender has to retreat 1 hex, and they cannot, because this hex and that hex are in the front zones of the enemy units, so they have to suffer 1 step loss, and attacker has to suffer 1 step loss either. So I will make this unit weaken, but since it suffered a loss, I have to make a roll if commander wasn't killed. If I will roll boxcars, this means 12, then commander is down. Oh, that was close, but he's alright. And now let's go here. I am attacking this Polish infantry, and now you can see that this Swedish unit is allowed to fire as well. So first Poles, they are firing at this unit. Wow, that was amazing. 12 with the strength of 2, it is air. So they have to suffer 1 point loss. I have to make a roll for their commander loss as well. He's alright. And now they will be placed on the scattered units track, but first they are still allowed to fire, and they missed terribly, so they are placed here, and I can place my commander on any other adjacent unit. Sorry, nearby unit which is not adjacent to the enemy, so they go here. Okay, you can see that infantry fire can be devastating, and now we have a combat. We have 4 against 2, so it's 2 to 1, and 3 to 1 because their morale is higher by 1. 9 in the 3 to 1 is nothing, so they stay where they are. Another combat goes here. They are firing on the upcoming enemy cavalry. 8, and they score a hit. Okay, this is going to be bad for Swedish. Okay, and now combat. They have 2, they have 2, so it's 2 to 1. Sorry, it is 1 to 1. They have morale of 7, so it's 1 to 2, and they are attacking infantry on the hill, so it's 1 to 3. Oh, this might be very bad. 7 in the 1 to 3, it is A1 -1. so they have to retreat 1 hex and they suffer 1 step loss, so they are eliminated. Next combat here. So in Saxons infantry fire 8, 1 point loss for the King's Carol Guard, and now but first they are firing twice with the strength of 2, 9, so they also suffer 1 point loss, and the second shot for nothing. Okay, so what we have here, 2 against 1, so it's 2 to 1, and +1 because of the morale difference, so it's 3 to 1, 3 to 1, and 5 in the 3 to 1 is B2 minus 1. So defender has to retreat 2 hexes and suffers 1 point loss, so this infantry is eliminated. Another battle goes here. We have Saxons infantry, which is allowed to fire 8. Oh hell, this infantry fires really good. And I can already remove these fire markers. So we have 2 against 3. Why 3? Because this is infantry with the strength of 1, and artillery, when it's involved in the direct combat, it can use only 1 point. So it's 2 against 3, so it's 1 to 2, and because of the morale difference it is 1 to 1. 9 in the 1 to 1, it is A1, so attacker has to retreat 1 hex. Now here we have 2, so Russians are firing, they missed, and now Swedes are firing, and they hit, I believe. 2, yes, it is -1, so this lone Russian unit suffers 1 point loss. And now we have 4 against 1, so it's 4 to 1. 9 in the 4 to 1 is B1, but they cannot retreat because all the adjacent hexes are occupied by friendly units, and you cannot escape through the friendly units, so they are eliminated. And this hex can be occupied by Swedes. Now these 3 units are firing here, sorry, these 2 units, but first Saxons are firing. So this infantry targets this cavalry unit. We have 2, and they hit, so this unit will be eliminated. But first Swedes are firing back, so they have 3, and they missed. So this unit is out. And now let's resolve the combat. We have 4 against 3, so it's 1 to 1. Morale is the same, so it's 1 to 1. Let's go. 6 in the 1 to 1 is nothing, so each side remains on its hex. Okay, next here I have 2 and 2, so it's 4 firing at them, and there is a woods. Woods provides -2 modifier for battle and for rifle combat. So I'm firing with 4 and -2. Oh wow, that was a very bad roll. And now they are firing back with the strength of 2 and also -2 because of the woods. A miss. Okay, we have 4 against 2, so it's 2 to 1, 3 to 1 because of the presence of the Swedish king, and 2 to 1, 1 to 1 because it is a woods, so it's 1 to 1, and 7, -1, -1. Each side suffers 1 step loss. And our last combat goes here. First, Saxons are firing. They missed. Swedes are firing with -2 modifier. Oh, so it is a miss. If it wouldn't be a wood, then they would score a hit, but there is a wood, so they missed. And we have 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 3 because of the woods. 8 in the 1 to 3, it is A1 error. So they have to retreat 1 hex, and they are placed on the scattered unit's track. So that was all for this epic combat. As you can see, each side suffers a lot of losses. Morale is back to 0, so this means that each side has the same losses. We have 5. Yes, each side lost 5 units so far. Okay, now Saxons. First, I can take 1 unit from the scattered units track. So I am taking them, and I can place it adjacent to my commander. Okay, what Saxons are going to do? I think that their infantry is doing quite fine. I will... one more thing. There is artillery fire phase first, and I can fire at them. But there is one thing I need to check first. No, I cannot. Why? Because artillery, which has enemy units in its front hexes during its own combat fire phase, it can only fire at this unit if it's possible, and these artillery units cannot fire at them because they are in its dead zone. Sorry, on its blind hexes. So artillery fire is here, here, and here. These hexes are not allowed to fire. So Saxons artillery cannot fire. Okay, let's move with Saxons infantry. They are here. I will move this cavalry here. This cavalry goes here. And now this Polish cavalry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They will try to help their comrades. And now this infantry battalion. 1, 2, 3. I think that's all for Saxons. They will have to fight a lot as well. Maybe I hope their superior rifle combat will help them to prevail. We will see. I am starting here. This infantry fires at this this Swedish cavalry. So I have a strength of 1, a miss. So they have 1, they have 4. So it's 1 to 4. It is going to be very bad, I believe. 12. Yes, they have to retreat 4 hexes. They are scattered and they have to suffer 1 step loss. So even so, they are eliminated. Now this infantry has to fight with these 2 units. I will fire at this Swedish, and I think I scored a hit. They have only 1 point, but they are infantry, so they are firing better. And yes, this is -1. So this Swedish unit is eliminated. Good. And I have to make a roll for the commander loss. 9. He's still alive and well and kicking. So I have to place him here. And now a combat. I have 1 against 2. So it is 2 to 1. 3 to 1 because it is a village, and 4 to 1 because of the morale difference. Okay. 7 in the 1 to 4, it is A1R. So they have to retreat 1 hex. Yes, they can here because this is back hex of this unit, and they are scattered. So they go here, and this cavalry can take this hex. And now this Polish cavalry fights against this Swedish cavalry, so we have 1 to 1. Nope. A1R. So they also have to retreat 1 hex and they are scattered. Okay. Now these 2 infantry units are firing at this cavalry. They have 4 and they missed terribly. So now the combat. They have a strength of 4. Swedish unit has a strength of 4 as well, so it's 1 to 1, and 1 to 2 because the Swedish unit has a higher morale by 1. 7 in the 1 to 2 is A1. So they have to retreat 1 hex. And Swedes might pursue it. Now, this Saxons battalion fires at them. It has a strength of 2, 8. It hits. But first Swedish guards are firing back twice. 11. With a strength of 1 they hit. And again 9. This is a miss. So they lost 1 step and they are eliminated. Okay, now these 2 units are firing at Swedish cavalry, so they have 4. 6, it is a miss. No, with its 4, with the firepower of 4, it is one step loss. And now the Swedes are firing at them because there is a chance to hit a commander. 8. With the strength of 2, it is a miss. Okay, now a combat. We have 4 against 2, so it's 2 to 1 for Saxons. 6 in the 2 to 1 is B1. So they have to retreat 1 hex, but they cannot. This hex is in the front hex of this unit. This hex is in the front hex of that unit, so they are out. And I am taking this hex. Okay, now here, this cavalry attacks this cavalry, so we have to resolve a rifle combat of the cavalry. First Saxons, they hit. Yes, they did. And now Swedes are firing, they miss, so it's 2 to 1 for Saxons. I have a really bad rolls when it comes to the normal combat. I have a very good rolls for rifle combat, but very bad for the hand-to-hand combat. It is 11, in the 2 to 1 is A1, so attacker has to retreat 1 hex and defender might pursue it. Next here, I made a mistake. I forgot I should take them off. Sorry, that was my mistake. I should retreat with this unit instead of fighting here. This is going to be very bad for them. Okay, now, but first, this Saxons cavalry is firing here. So we have 2 with -2 because of the woods. A miss. They are firing back with the strength of 1. A miss. So we have 2 to 1. 1 to 1 and 1 to 2 because of the woods. Nope. A2 -1. So they suffer 1 step loss and they have to retreat 1 hex, but they cannot. This hex is in the front hex of the enemy unit. This hex is occupied, so they are gone. And now this unit. I really should move back. There is an option to leave enemy zone of control. When you want to jump away of the enemy, you are allowed to spend all your movement points to move like that, 1 hex out, and enemy cannot countercharge you. So this is pretty good option, and I should use it. Okay, that's but I can do it only during the movement phase. My miss. I forgot about it. So let's resolve a combat. They have to attack this unit. So they have a strength of 1 and they are firing. 5, a miss. Swedes are firing back. A miss. So they have 1 against 2. So it's 1 to 2. 1 to 3 because of the commander. 1 to 4 and 1 to 5 because of the woods. But the least column allowed is 1 to 4. 6. A1 -1. So they suffer 1 point loss. And again, morale is down to 0. Interesting. That's quite a balanced battle, you can see. Okay, so that's all. We are moving into turn 5, which is going to be one of the last turns, because this battle takes 6 turns. And let's see what are we going to do. First, we can take a half of the Swedish units that are on the scattered units track and place them back on the board. So I will place this unit here and place this unit there. Okay, that's all, and we can start moving. You can tell that there is a much less we have much less units on the board than before. Losses are quite high on each side, so this can be interesting. All right, I need to move this cavalry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. And I will move my commander here as well. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can see that charging on the artillery might be very problematic. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as for them, well, they are in the range of enemy artillery, and it will fire at them in no time, I believe. So what I'm going to do, 1, and now when I'm making my movement, so this artillery is allowed to fire at me. They are firing from the range of 2, and they missed. So let me find a counter. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My idea was that I will get some morale boost in this massive charge against Saxons, but you can see it was all returned into 0, so no morale boost. 1, 2, 3, and I think, well, maybe I will make this risk. 1, 2. Now this artillery fires at them with the range of 3 and miss. 3, 4. Now it fires on the range of 2 and miss. And here now last shot, 6 and miss. Okay, good. Good, we survived this artillery fire. So let's resolve combat. I will start here. They have 1 and they are making a shot, 10, but it is -2 because of the woods, so it is a miss, and they are firing back and they score a hit. Sadly, this Swedish unit is out. Now them. They are firing at this infantry unit, but this infantry unit is might fire at them back. So first our infantry 8 with the strength of 2. Yes, it is a hit, so they have to lose 1 unit, but they are firing back first and miss. Okay, no good. Okay, combat. We have 2 against 3, so it's 1 to 2 for Swedish, and 6 in the 1 to 2. It is 1 step loss for attacker. Oh, this is a massacre. Now they are attacking here, so these Saxons are firing with the strength of 2, and wow, they suffer 1 point loss. Now they are firing back, miss, and now they are attacking with the 2 against 2, so it's 1 to 1, and 6 in 1 to 1 is nothing. I have to say that Swedes have a really hard time in this battle, but you can you can guess what would happen if there would be no Saxonian infantry on the board. The battle would be probably very different, but I think it is much more interesting now when and much more balanced when this cavalry remains on the battlefield. Okay, next we have here. I am attacking with these 2 units against this Polish infantry. It might fire on this unit, 5, and miss. And now I have 4 and 4, so it's 8. And since they are attacking from the back hex, then this infantry has a strength of 1 only. So I have 8 against 1, so it's 8 to 1 and 9 to 1. Because of the morale difference. So it's 9 to 1 and 5. It is B5, so they have to retreat 5 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I have to make a check if they are scattered. They have morale of 8, so I need to roll 5 or 6, so they will be safe. No, they are scattered, so I have to remove a commander and place them on the dispersed track. They are making a pursuit here, and now they are these 2 units are attacking this Polish infantry. It fires, of course. 7. It is a miss. So they have 4 and 4, so it's 8, so it's 4 to 1 and 5 to 1 because of the morale difference. 9. It is a B1. So they have to retreat 1 hex, and they are moving like that. Okay, and the last combat is here. First a rifle combat. Saxons are firing at Swedish. 11. Oh hell! 11 with the strength of 1 is -1. So Swedish unit suffers 1 point loss. We also have to check for the possible commander's death. Oh, that was close, but he's alive. And now Swedes are firing, a miss. So we have 2 against 1, it's 2 to 1, 3 to 1 because of the commander, and 2 to 1 because attacking up the slope. 7 with 2 to 1 is B1. So they have to retreat 1 hex, and they can take this hex. Okay, that's all for the Swedish combat. I think this is going to be very bad, but because you can see that morale reached +1, and if it will stay here, then in the next turn Saxons will have +1 for each combat. Okay, we have 4 units here, so I can take 2 of them. And what Saxons are going to do? First I have to remove these artillery fire markers, and now we have first we have an artillery Fireface, and this artillery is allowed to fire at them and miss. Total miss. So I will move my cavalry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. This infantry will take here and will try to protect this flank. And I think that's all for the combat, for the movement, sorry. I am thinking of moving this artillery because it has no targets here. So, 1, it will move like that. Maybe it will be able to fire at someone. And now this infantry steps back onto this hex, and this infantry moves like that and takes this hex. Okay, so that's all for Saxons. Let's go to combat. These two infantry units are firing at this cavalry with the strength of 4. 7, it is enough to destroy it, but it can fire back still with the strength of 1. A miss, it is done. Now, this infantry unit fires here. We have 2. 8. It is a hit. Okay, and now let's resolve a combat. We have 2 against 2, it's 1 to 1, but still they have a higher morale, so it's 1 to 2. Nope. 9. A1 error. So they have to retreat 1 hex, and they are dispersed. And now this infantry with the strength of 2 fires at this cavalry. 5. Cavalry fires back. 10. It has a strength of 1. Yes. So 10. It is a hit. Still, it is a hit. So let's make a roll for commander's loss. Whew, that was very close. I think some bullets missed his head just by a few inches. Okay, and now a combat. We have 1 against 2, so it's 1 to 2. And 1 to 3, because there is enemy commander. And 8 in the 1 to 3 is A1 error. So they have to step to retreat 1 hex, and they are scattered, so I can place a commander somewhere else. And that's all for the combat phase. Yes, that's all for the combat phase. We are going to the last turn of the battle. Okay. And you can see that this is going quite historically accurate. Saxons are suffering heavy losses, but they hold the line, and Swedish suffered a very big losses. In the historical battle, Saxons lost about 500 of soldiers, while Swedish lost about 1,500 of soldiers. So let's go and check for the scatter table, scatter track. We have only 1 Swedish unit here, so we can take it and place it nearby, on the adjacent hex to any of the commanders. So there is 2, there is 2. I think I will place them here, and I can start a Swedish movement phase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 1, 2. Now artillery might fire at them, so let's resolve artillery fire. Oh my, I think it scored a hit. It has a strength of 2, a range of 2 and a 9. Yes, it is a hit, so one of these units is eliminated. And commander loss check, no problem, he is alive. And they are moving here. As for King Carol's units, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think that's all. Okay, so that's all when it comes to the Swedish movement. Let's go to the combat. I am attacking this Polish infantry with this Swedish cavalry. So first, Poles are firing, they are targeting them, and they score a hit. Great! Sadly, we cannot use this +2 in this turn, but even so, we have 4 and 2, so it's 6 to 1, 7 to 1 because of the morale, and 6 to 1 because of the morale track. So it's 6 to 1 and 5, B3 minus 1. So 1, 2, 3, but they have to suffer 1 step loss, so they are eliminated. And they can take this vacant hex. Now these Saxon Swedes are charging on this Polish infantry. They have 4, but Poles are firing first. 7, it is a miss. So we have 4 against 2, so it's 2 to 1, 3 to 1 because of the morale, and 2 to 1 because of the morale track. 5 in the 2 to 1, it is B1. So infantry just retreats. Next here. First Saxons infantry fires with the strength of 1, so it is a miss. And now we have 4 against 1, so it's 4 to 1, 5 to 1 because of the commander, 6 to 1 because of the unit's morale, 5 to 1 because they are charging up the slope, and 4 to 1 because of the morale track. So it's 4 to 1 and 7, it is B2. So they have to retreat 2 hexes, and they cannot, because they can only retreat here, which is front hex of this Swedish unit, or here, which is front hex of this Swedish unit. So they are eliminated. So that's all for the Swedish combat. Now time for Saxons. I can take 2 units from this track and place them somewhere, like here or here. I think that Saxons haven't to do much at last. They managed to kill much more Swedish soldiers, so they will be victorious. But first I have an artillery Fireface, so I will fire at these guys with the range of 1, so it might be very effective. 7, strength of 2, range of 1. Yes, they suffer 1 point loss, so we even we were able to kill 1 more Swedish unit. And let's check. Oh, I hope that I will be able to kill him, but oh well. I moved this Polish cavalry. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think I don't have much else to do with Saxons. I will resolve this combat only. It is 1 against 2, so it's 2 to 1. Sorry, 1 to 2. Morale is same, but I have +1 because of the morale track, so it's 1 to 1. And 10 in the 1 to 1. Oh, A1 minus 1, so they are done. But still, it is no... Oh, I have 1 more battle to resolve here, because this this infantry is on the adjacent hex to enemy unit, so I am firing with infantry rifles. 7, a miss. So it is 2 against 4, so it's 1 to 2. 1 to 3 because of the morale, and 1 to 2 because of the morale track. 3 in the 1 to 2, it is B1, so defender has to retreat 1 hex. Good. Okay, this concludes our battle. Let's check for who is victorious. I believe you can see who, but let's count the losses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 Swedish units, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so 11 Saxons units. So Saxons are victorious, just like in the history. They were able to hold the line to avoid being destroyed, and they made Swedes to pay dearly for this attempt of attacking them. So it was quite a historically accurate battle, but mostly thanks to the Saxons cavalry, which fought very well. Not just like it did in the historical battle. So when you are going to play this battle, you have to remember that you have to make this a very important role at the beginning of the game to see if your cavalry remains on the battlefield or not. As for today, that's all. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.